Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Glory Glory My Night podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Quinn. And joining me today to talk about, first of all, our narrow win against Luton, then our chaotic loss in Copenhagen, and then we'll talk about the takeover that seems imminent this week in the third part of the show. So, welcome back, Bruce. Good to have you, as always.
Yeah, it's nice to be back.
So first of all, we're going to talk about the most recent game against Luton Town, which United, rather predictably, made hard work of. Um, Victor Lindelof, the unlikely goal scorer, only his fourth goal for Manchester United and his first goal for nearly 3 years. If you remember the 6-2 win against Leeds, Christmas 2020, that was the last time that Lindelof registered on the score sheet, and he had said it was long overdue, and it was quite an important goal because it was the only goal we managed in the whole game. Um, Garnacho had a gilt-edged chance, one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Rashford quite similar in the second half, but Hoyland had a few chances. He had a header that he should have done better with for sure. He also had a shot where he tried to thigh it in. With the keeper save, so once again, United a bit toothless in front of goal and had to rely on a defender to score for us to get a 1-0 win. It was far from impressive and doesn't do anything to increase my confidence in United going forward. How did you see it, Brush?
Yeah, it's Groundhog Day all over again, isn't it? Really, we keep saying the same things now. Like, we don't make the most of our chances. We don't really know where the goal's coming from, and we're just stumbling over the line with these 1-0s. But at this point in time, I think the 3 points in the bag is the most important thing. Um, Definitely some positives to take away from the game for me. Um, and also some disappointments as well. And it comes down to the toothlessness up front, really, in the final third. Like you touched on, Garnacho really should have done better there with the chance that he had. Rashi, I thought it was a beautiful ball in actually by Anthony, who's coming for a lot of criticism, and he looks to be getting his head down. And I want to see more of that from him. Um, Another player who's coming for a lot of criticism and stuff over the years, Harry Maguire. I think he's done pretty well.
Yeah, Harry Maguire has done well in recent games. Aside from the Manchester City game, was obviously the massive step up in quality. Um,
Yeah, I think that's the thing though, Card, that we have to remember with Harry. Listen, against the bottom 10 sides in the Premier League, he's going to do a good job. Like, he is a Premier League quality defender, but against the creme de la creme of the league, we're going to get toyed with.
yeah, Maguire and Evans did quite well together. The manager boldly decided to play Evans twice in 4 days, and that
Mm,
backfired, and he had to come off. And I can see why. When you see Varane's recent performances, you can see why he's going with Maguire and Evans. And Dutch managers like to have left-footed players on the left-hand side. Uh, left even left centre back and left back. Well, that's the thing. That's the irony is that he was playing Evans, so he has a left-footed player, but then he's playing Dallo at left back, which kind of contradicts that. I suppose there's not when he has Reguilon available, it doesn't really make sense. But then there's not many options in defence. It's just really a patched up job.
very
Um,
much so. And I'll tell you what, Rafa didn't cover himself in any kind of glory when he
no,
came on against Copenhagen. He had an absolute shocker.
yeah, and he was very poor in the home game against Galatasaray as well,
Yeah,
which probably led to him being dropped in the first place. And once again, I predicted that on Wednesday night when he came on to replace Evans and a very poor performance that he wasn't going to start against Luton, and he didn't.
yeah.
Lindelof was drafted back in, and just as well because Lindelof obviously scored the winning goal.
Hmm.
But yeah, you're right to point out that Maguire has looked solid against teams that Manchester United should be beating.
Yeah.
Um, but so that kind of indicates to us that he's good enough to be a standing defender. But obviously, one of the big priorities in the next transfer window, which we'll be buying in, which is probably the summer. But we don't know. Who knows what happened in January? But definitely between January and the summer, I think we need two centre backs. To be honest with you, Bush, what do you think?
Absolutely. Because when you look at the players on the wrong side of 30, I think we need to be looking to replace Varane as well.
Yeah, I think Varane and Casemiro are both going to go to Saudi Arabia next
Yeah,
summer.
yeah, I think that's the most likely thing at the end of the season. Both wrong side of 30, both on huge wages as well, 300 plus. So,
Yeah.
in terms of a bit of a refresh, that is where I would start.
And Evans will obviously not play any more than this season, I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, I mean, he was quite befuddled himself as to how he got a contract. So, he's happy to be there. But yeah, beyond the end of this season, we'll have to move on. And then Lindelof as well. I mean, he's getting closer to 30. He might feel as if he wants to get first team football under his belt for the last couple of years of his career. So if he decides to leave as well, that's another issue.
Well, isn't his contract up in the summer? I think there's an option for additional
Yeah, I
year.
think there's a 1 year option there. But then again, I don't know. I don't know if you'd want to stick around.
Uh, it might be a good chance to let him go in the summer because
Hmm.
being what is he like fourth choice when everyone's fit?
Yeah,
I don't think that's a good enough reason to give him a new 4 year contract or whatever at
no.
29. So this might be the perfect opportunity to move him on. Well, it seems very harsh talking about that when he got us the 3 points against Luton, but
Yeah,
we have to be honest about it. You know, he's not
yeah,
the
that's the
quality
thing.
that we need, and he's not
And
first
I'll tell
choice.
you what, but as weird as this sounds, I see a potential scenario in which Maguire is probably the likely one to stay. Um, he's always fit and ready for action. He's dependable in that sense. Like everyone else seems to be somewhat injury prone. I hope we take our sweet time with the return of Martinez.
Yes, absolutely. There's no point in rushing that one. We want the best Parcel Martinez when he comes back, and we don't want him getting going off injured within a few matches again.
Yeah,
Um, uh, yeah, it is quite a remarkable turnaround. You can see a scenario in the summer where Maguire is the only senior centre back who stays. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
that's quite incredible. Really, it just shows you what a difference a few games can make.
Hmm.
But certainly if we're going to challenge, then I think Maguire needs to be an option
Absolutely.
on the bench.
We need a total upgrade. Yeah. As a squad rotation player, yeah, no problems at all. But even then, wrong side of 30 and 190 or 200K a week he's on, it would make sense to move on. But, we'll see. We'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, lots can happen between now and the summer. So United very very unconvincing again. Not good enough in front of goal. Not creating enough chances either. Very very pedestrian again.
Mm.
Conceding chances to Luton. There was a guy who got a header in between. He was in between Maguire
Was
and
that
Lindelof.
Morris? Was it? Was it Morris? I think it might have been Morris.
Could have been. I'm not well versed on the Luton starting 11.
Yeah.
Uh, I only know a handful of them, but obviously Teeth Chong being one of them. I don't think he started yesterday, even though he scored in the last game against Liverpool.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah, that was a concern.
somebody got a free header, which Onana had to pull off another excellent save.
Yeah, it was a good save, that. Very good save.
That wasn't great defending, to
Mm.
say the least.
Hmm.
Yeah, but United should be beating Luton comfortably at home, even though we knew it wasn't going to happen. That's where we should be. Given the money we spent on the size of our club, we shouldn't be struggling against a team that were in League Two not so long ago. You know, they're the absolute favourites to be relegated this season.
I'll tell you what, though, Carl. I think the fact that they picked up a point against Liverpool last week, they would have been brimming with confidence. So even they dropped points there. So yeah, I didn't think it was going to be a complete walkover, and we did have chances. We just failed to put them away.
Yeah, can you believe that Garnacho? He was in that position one on one with the keeper, and he didn't even get a shot away because he
Yeah,
hesitated that much.
he
That was
did.
hugely disappointing. And then Rashford, like you say, Anthony was a direct run from Anthony, which is what we want to see.
Yeah,
He seen Rashford in space, played him in, and Rashford with another very very poor attempt.
it was such a well picked out ball. It was brilliant pass, and yeah, Rashi has to do better there. He just had to open up his body and take it, but if you see the replay, like he didn't even look at the keeper, he didn't look up, he just looked at the ball.
Um, Yeah,
And that's the difference between the instinct of a natural striker and what Rashford is.
but Rashford is also probably low on confidence as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's went from 30 goals last season to
Hmm.
1 goal so far this season. And what if he had 12 league games, 4 Champions League games, and 2 League Cup games, and
Yeah.
he scored 1 goal? That's that's not good enough. And overall, our forwards have really struggled in front of goal in the Premier
Yep.
League. Um,
What does Rasmus have to do to get a Premier League goal? I mean, he came so close yesterday.
yeah, he's a joint top scorer in the Champions League, and he hasn't scored a
Yeah.
Premier League goal. It's bizarre. I've never seen anything like it. You
Yeah.
know, how can we? Somebody said on Twitter last night that we need to play the Champions League anthem ahead of our Premier League games, and then Rasmus maybe start scoring. uh,
Yeah. You have
yeah,
to just trust and believe that it will come, but with each and every game, the media and that it's not going to help him. Everyone's just going to be counting those numbers up, aren't they? They did something similar to Diego Forlan back in the day. Now with Diego, obviously, he didn't come with a big price tag, and he was very much a squad rotation option. And really, when you looked at the numbers, he came on as a sub for like half an hour, 20-minute cameos. But that didn't stop the media from just counting them all as appearances. Um, and they'll always point out that it took him like 25 appearances to score his first goal.
uh, I do think that the 5 Champions League goals are keeping the vultures at bay a little bit.
Mm. Hmm.
If the criticism would be, much more intense. Had he not scored those goals in the Champions League. But yeah, it is a collective problem when it comes to the forwards this season,
Yeah.
not scoring goals, because they've certainly had the chances to do so. I'm relying on
Hmm.
defenders and midfielders to get goals. Just look at the top scorers for United this season, and you'll see, that they're midfielders, and you see centre backs shipping in with goals.
Yeah, listen,
Um,
Scott McTominay's been one of our most potent threats in front of goal.
yeah, he obviously got a couple of crucial goals a few weeks
Yep.
back. Yeah, it was unlucky not to get another goal against Fulham. Uh, with United, um, this is the most remarkable stat that I have seen in recent times. That United are actually the most informed team in the Premier League in terms of results. Um, United have won 4 of the last 5 matches, and in terms of
Yeah.
everybody's last 5 matches, United have accumulated the most points. Albeit, if Man City beat Chelsea today, they will equal that. Or better it. I'm not sure, but as of this moment, United are the most informed team in the Premier League. How can that be? How can that be?
I think this is a prime example of where stats don't tell the story.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
And sixth in the Premier League, above Newcastle now. Who would have
Mm.
believed it?
Hmm.
Because
And
Newcastle
then Tottenham have started to descend as well now, haven't they? Back-to-back defeats.
down to fourth. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I know we're down to seventh again. With at the moment anyway, because Brighton are 1-0 up against Sheffield United.
yeah,
Um, and I'm looking at a live table. This table updates during
yep.
games. The one that I'm looking at here. Um, yeah, but the fact that we're only 5 points off the top four is remarkable, given that we have lost 5 games in the Premier League and won 7. It's and all comps. What have we?
We've not
We've
drawn any games, have we? I think
no
that's why as well. Yeah.
in all comps we've lost is it 9 games overall. It's a
Mm.
remarkable tally for this stage in the season for a club like United. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of people said yesterday that it's 3 points. All I want is 3 points, and
Yep.
that's all that matters in the end. But there's only so many times you can say that. Um, Eventually, we're going to have to start putting in performances. Because if we keep beating the relegation fodder by the odd goal, what's going to happen? As soon as we play someone decent, we'll get rolled over, and that's the problem. That's why I want to see performances alongside these results, and
Yes.
we've barely seen a performance all season, certainly in the Premier League anyway.
Absolutely. But I think with that, I mean, it will come with a return to our first choice 11. So it's going to take some time, I reckon. I reckon once we have a fully fit team, the likes of Martinez back, Shaw back, we will start to see improvements. But until then, I'm afraid we're going to see more of the same.
Well, there's a possibility that Shaw might return after the international break, but Martinez and Casemiro, that's going to be after Christmas, by the sounds of
Yeah,
things.
yeah. And it's a
Um,
very busy period as well, Christmas. So, yeah, there's already one or two I'm not looking forward to. Um,
mm,
have to go to Anfield next month.
oh, I can't bear it. I can't bear
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and that's on the back of Bayern Munich. It's a crazy week of games as well. I think we've got like 3 games in the space of 7 days in the lead up to it all.
It's getting to the stage when we play at Anfield. I feel like just turning my phone, my laptop, my TV
Just
off, and just ignoring football for a few hours.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
It's
it's
one of those, isn't it? It's cricket score lines when we play them now. Well,
yeah, and we're in a much like when we played at Anfield
mm,
last season and lost 7-0, we were coming off the back of winning the League Cup final. We are in a much worse position than we were then.
yeah,
That doesn't mean they're going to win 8 or 9-0.
mm,
But uh, I'm not confident about that game at all. And before that, we have to go away to Newcastle. Now I know they lost
yeah. We do.
yesterday away at Bournemouth, but we know going to St James's Park, they're going to be well up for that game, and
Yeah.
they're quite capable of turning us over and beating us comfortably if we're not on our game. I haven't been on our game all season, so that's another very difficult away game.
Hmm.
Even going to Everton in our next game. I mean, Everton you won away at Palace yesterday, and playing United at Goodison is their cup final. The only other game that's probably more important to them is Liverpool.
Yeah.
Um, so if we are not at our best in that game either, we could easily
And
get
also
turned
the other
over.
thing that concerns me, Carl, because I'm looking at the fixture list now, we'll pretty much have a game every 3 days or so. It's
Yeah, because
ridiculous.
yes, the next midweek is Champions League, obviously, and then
Yep.
midweek after that is the Premier League game, and the midweek after that is the final Champions League group game. And
Yeah.
then
So listen, so we after the international break, we've got Everton on the 26th. And then that week on the 29th, we play Galatasaray in Istanbul. So on the back of Everton, you have to go to Istanbul under that hostile atmosphere. They've got flares and all of that going on. Crazy. And then on the 2nd of December, we've got Newcastle. Then from 2nd to the 6th, we have Chelsea. Then the 9th, we play Bournemouth. And 3 days after that, Bayern Munich. And depending on what happens in the Galatasaray game, the Bayern game could be a big one for us.
yeah, um, but thankfully, there's not as many games over Christmas now. I think we have one on
Mm.
Boxing Day, then one on New Year's Eve or something like that. So
Yeah,
there's
so the
there's not
Liverpool one 17th, then 23rd we play West Ham, and
yeah
then Boxing Day Aston Villa, and then on the 30th. So there's actually a little bit of a gap there. Uh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
and then the next one's probably the third round FA Cup match.
yeah,
Now,
yeah. There's only 2 Premier League games in Jan. So yeah, you've got the League Cup and FA Cup, I think.
but we're not in the League Cup, so it doesn't matter.
So that yeah, so it's a little break for us anyway. So yeah, so
And
yeah,
is
fourth.
there a wee mini mid-season break these days?
Not really, not really. Oh, the other thing we have to account for come January though, we lose our goalkeeper and Amrabat to Afcon.
Okay. For me, the
One
goalkeeper.
one one crisis at a time, mate.
Yeah, of course. But for me, the goalkeeper would be a bigger loss.
Yes.
Having not been impressed with Amrabat at all, if I'm being
Mm,
brutally honest about it.
hmm.
Even when he came on in Copenhagen, he looked a bit sloppy.
Yeah.
So
It's a real shame about Ericsson's legs. Otherwise, I reckon he would have been the one ideally, if only he were 5, 6 years younger.
yeah, but we tend to say that about a lot of our signings. If
Yeah,
only they
yeah,
were
yeah.
5 years younger.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Mm.
But yeah, Onana, he's managing to find his feet now, isn't he? So Yeah, I'm not looking forward to January, because that could potentially disrupt things. The lack of League Cup and stuff as well. I don't know when we're going to get to see the guy we signed from Fenerbahce. I've not seen him play, so I don't know what he's about.
I mean, how is he going to come in and play 9 or 10 games when he hasn't even been given a chance in a League Cup match? I mean,
Exactly. I don't understand how you can just bring him in out the cold all of a sudden to play in the Premier League. You know,
yeah, it's a strange one. Unless he's going to play, you wouldn't know with Ten Hag. He might play Tom Heaton.
there was also rumours flying about Dave making a comeback
I don't see it happening. I don't.
in a short-term deal. That would be interesting.
I mean, it really had to swallow his pride to agree to that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
he,
I was somewhat surprised as well, Carl, that he's not found another club. Like, he seems to be just relaxing and enjoying life. To be fair.
well, I was reading something the other day that Real Betis have lost their first choice goalkeeper.
Okay.
Is it Rui Silva or something like that?
Mm.
And now they're using Claudio Bravo, the infamous Claudio Bravo, who
Uh-huh.
Pep Guardiola got sick of after one season.
Yeah.
And he's now the 40-year-old stand-in keeper for Real Betis,
Mm.
and so they're now considering signing De Gea.
Oh, that
Um,
would be an interesting one because they just took on Isco as well, formerly of Real Madrid, and he joined them after a 9-month spell of no football. And he was man of the match in like 8 of their 12 games or something. Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, I'm sure De Gea would just love to play some football again.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. He celebrated his 33rd birthday recently, and I was thinking, I was like, oh, that's still very young for a goalkeeper.
yeah, it certainly is. He's probably got another 7 years left in his
Yeah,
career, I would have
yeah,
thought.
definitely.
Um, so just before we move on to Copenhagen,
Mm,
I'm going to do a rundown of the player ratings for yesterday. Um, so Onana, another solid performance from the goalkeeper, which is definitely one of the more pleasing aspects of recent weeks. Um, so one brilliant save, I would say, and maybe a
yep.
few routine ones. So six
Oh,
for Onana.
the only thing I want to point out, there was one ball where he kicked it straight to the opposition. Yeah, I need him to eliminate that from his game.
Yeah, but even the best keepers are going to do that from time to time. Like Addison does it, Allison does it.
Yeah,
But you want to see it happen as little as possible. Um,
absolutely. It would be
so
fine. See, for those teams, it's fine because they score goals.
yeah, yeah,
Because we
yeah,
because we win by such small margins, I can't afford him to make those kind of silly mistakes because it can really cost us.
yeah, uh,
Like our goal difference is -3 right now. Goals scored 13, goals conceded 16. It's ridiculous.
yeah. I see your point. Yeah, that's another thing that I would point out to the people on social media after every narrow win against
Mm,
relegation fodder. They always say it was 3 points and that's all that matters. We got the result. Well,
yeah.
we have to look beyond that now because and
Oh, absolutely.
another reason why we need to look beyond that is because the goal differences. I mean, if you just look at them, I mean, Man City plus 20, Arsenal plus 16, Liverpool plus
Hmm.
16, Spurs plus 9, Villa plus 13, Newcastle plus 14, and we are -3, which is just absolutely ridiculous.
Listen, in the top 10, we are the only ones with a minus goal difference.
Yeah, nobody in the top 10 should have a minus goal difference.
Yeah, yeah. So that tells you everything you need to know, really. We've also got the most defeats in the top 10 as well. No other team in the top 10 has lost five.
Yeah, and all those 7 wins are all by one goal, I think, as
Hmm.
well.
Hmm.
Um, we have the same goal difference as Everton and Forest,
Yeah, yeah.
which
It's
is pretty
crazy.
shocking. West Ham have a better goal difference than us.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only teams that have a worse goal difference than us. In fact, there's only one, two. There's only 6 teams in the whole league that have a worse goal
Yeah,
difference
yeah.
than us.
It's from 12 down. It's from 12th in the table down, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and a couple of those have the same goal difference as us.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's something that really, really needs worked on. Unfortunately, the manager can't really work with the players during the international break because a lot of them are going to be away.
Hmm.
Um, so you haven't really got that 2 week window to really work on things on the training ground, which would have been ideal. Uh, Yeah, so back to the player ratings. Diogo Dallo, I'm not been impressed with him at all in recent weeks.
Mm,
He's very lucky to be getting in the team. I think he's starting games because of the injuries at the back and the manager's lack of faith in certain players like Regulon. Yeah, so Dallo, I think the potentially could be there's a mentality issue there as well, because if you look at his social media in recent weeks, he was happy to take praise for his goal against Sheffield United, happy to take praise for his goal saving challenge against Fulham. And you're like, you know, you need to put this into context, Diogo. And United are a struggling team at the moment who have suffered 9 defeats already. Um, we're not playing well at all. So these wee moments of glory that you get with this goal and goal saving challenge does not, it's not important, and you shouldn't be bragging about it on social media. So that's a concern for me. um and once again, he was at fault for the third goal against Copenhagen. He totally switched off at the back post, and I just don't think he's a good defender in general. Like, sometimes he offers good things going forward, but yeah, he shouldn't be getting in United starting 11 for me. And the 5 year contract that he got was absolutely baffling. I do not understand why the second choice right back was given a 5 year contract. It's just totally unjustifiable. And so, just not a player that I'm fond of at the moment. And I'm sure he's a good guy, and he gives his all, but I just don't think he has the quality to be starting for Manchester United. And very lucky
mm,
to still be in the team with performances
hmm.
that he's produced in recent weeks. So 4 for Dallo. Maguire, definitely a solid 6. Lindelof will get a 7 for his goal. Regulon a 5 for me. Yeah, I don't think he's going to stay beyond January. Looking at not only his performances when he does play, but the fact that the manager would literally play anyone ahead of him if he can. So McTominay, 5. Ericsson a 5. Bruno Fernandes, it's definitely becoming an issue now with these free kicks. He hasn't scored a free kick.
It's terrible. Oh, it's terrible,
Yeah,
isn't it? We haven't got a single set piece taker in the squad. That free kick towards the end, atrocious.
it was brutal, but
Yeah,
entirely predictable, because
yeah.
I
And
don't
his
think he's.
shooting in general as well, it just pisses me off. Like, at least test the keeper, please. Like, get it on target. Why are you taking these mad shots that just go over?
Yeah, but that comes with the territory. I'm afraid that's just the type of player that he is.
Yeah, I
He just
remember. I remember Frank Lampard used to do it a lot, but then you could forgive him because, eventually he would score.
Yeah, you got to say that Bruno's no Paul Scholes when it comes to shooting from outside the
No,
box, is he?
no,
Um,
yeah. So that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, you can take the good with the bad if you have a conversion rate of sorts, but he doesn't have that either.
yeah, I don't think he scored a free kick in maybe 2 or 3 years. I can't remember when the last one was, and he takes the majority of them. Now, Ericsson gets the odd chance, but then if he doesn't score, then it's back to Bruno again. At least with Ronaldo, he scored the odd one. Bruno,
Even with him, I wasn't too happy to be honest. I think the last free kick taker I was happy with was probably one Mata, but then he
yeah,
was very much in the peripheral for the last couple of seasons. He was with us.
yeah. I wasn't happy with Ronaldo myself, but
Yeah.
he definitely scored a couple from what I can remember. Now, when is the last time Bruno even hit the target?
Mm,
Um, and it's frustrating now. And I've seen Mason Mount score free kicks for Chelsea, so should be given a chance. But like I said yesterday on socials, now that Bruno's captain, nobody's ever going to take a free kick ever again except him. I mean, who's going to tell the captain to step aside? That's so.
it's crazy. It's all management, isn't it? Really, somebody needs to train, and they need to put in work in the training ground.
Yeah, it's very annoying that.
Yeah.
So Rashford on the right hand side yesterday. Nah, obviously we talked about it. He
Mm,
missed his chances. Very poor in front of goal. Um, yeah, not a great performance overall, and some sloppy passes as well from Rashford. There was one
mm,
where I think he was playing it to Regulon for a pullback, and it was very overhit. And it was either Mason Mount or Reguilon, I can't remember. But they had to work really hard to keep it in play because Rashford's ball was so poor.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. There was
so
one chance as well where he was on the right hand side. He did the right thing by cutting in. He took it past the defender, but then there was too much on the touch, and then he lost out.
yeah, he's just not in good form at the moment.
Yeah.
So four for Rashford. Alejandro Garnacho. What do you make of his performance yesterday, Brush?
Again, with Garnacho, I think we need to taper our expectations. For me, he works best as an impact sub. When he starts games, he's not as impactful for me. Um, yeah, a very frustrating figure. You can tell the kid's trying his best and he really wants to make it work. But yeah, I think we just need to dampen expectations with him. I'll give it a 5.
Yeah. Um, yeah, some good aspects to his play, but others he needs to work on. And in front of goal as well, he's lacking. Like we touched on, he really should have more goals than he has accumulated this season.
Yeah,
Like so many others. Um, yeah, I
because we'll come
really,
on to it because there was something he did against Copenhagen that annoyed me as well. But we'll get on to that when we move on to Copenhagen.
yeah. Yeah, I would persist with him, and he's definitely going to
Mm,
start now in Istanbul. With Rashford being suspended for that game. So
yeah.
Rasmus Højlund, this game,
Mm,
he had a great headed chance. He had a chance he tried to put in with his thigh from about um, 3 yards out, which the keeper managed to make a good save from. And I thought this was a home to Luton. You'd think that's the chance for him to finally get his first Premier League goal, but it just wasn't to be.
definitely. Definitely. Yeah, if there was ever a game, you'd think this is the one where he could have got a bracement, perhaps.
So Mason Mount replaced Ericsson after 40 minutes. He went off injured, of course, and nearly forgot
Mm.
about that. Um, Mount, he's trying really hard, but nothing's really coming off for him, is it?
No, no. It's a bit of a baffling one as well because obviously that was the main guy that the manager identified in the summer, and he's not really been using him. Obviously, he had a little bit of a slow start due to injury, but you would think that your main target that you got hold of in the summer would be integral to your plans, no?
Yeah, that's the question I've been asking for the last few weeks.
Mm,
It's baffling, really. Um, so five for Mason Mount. Anthony came on. Like we touched on it there, that
yeah.
he created a chance for Rashford with a direct run,
I
and
mean,
he seen the
balls in
pass,
don't get much better than that, really, because that, yeah, he was almost robbed of an assist there.
and he has come in for some monumental criticism in
Yes,
recent
yes, he
weeks.
has.
Um, so much so that even I was calling him, if you take the price into account, the worst signing in United's history.
Mm,
Um, even you could even with him creating that chance for Rashford, he wouldn't get into my starting 11 at the moment. He's a long way to
mm.
go before I would even consider that. Um, let's see, and his petulance is a real problem as well. He's been lucky to not get a red card in a Man United shirt, given the amount of times that he's lashed out at people. Um, most recently in the derby, but yeah, I suppose for he compared to recent performances yesterday was definitely an improvement.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, the only way was up, wasn't it? Really, he couldn't have done any worse than he has been doing last couple of weeks. So yeah, I was happy for him yesterday. I felt like he got his head down, and this is what we need to see more of.
so I'll give him a 5.5.
Mm.
And the other two subs are very late on, Martial and Varane. And I really hate this substitution with Martial coming on for Hoyland every single game now. And
Yeah, I mean, we know because of his age, like the manager's gonna look after Hoyland's minutes. The
he
issue
did
for
go
me
down.
is,
He was injured this time, I think. Yeah, to be fair.
yeah, and you need to manage his minutes given his age and that. So that's understandable, but obviously, the quality coming on leaves much to be desired.
It's just no quality at all. I mean, Martial does not even have the physicality to be a footballer anymore. I think he's someone that's probably going to retire very young.
Yeah,
Uh, and the body language is always poor, and I'm just not convinced he even wants to. It's hard to even in it anymore. At times you get that impression. At other times you think, oh, he's doing okay. He's doing okay here. But other times you're like, no, he doesn't even want to be there. So he's only there because we weren't able to buy another striker in the summer, and we're making do with him to the end of the season. But it's just not good enough. Remember the days we had Dwight York, Andy Cole, Sheringham, and Solskjaer. Now we've got a very very raw first choice striker, and Anthony Martial as backup. It's just nowhere near good enough.
Yep,
Um, so he's probably going to be released at the end of the season, and it's long overdue if we're being brutally honest about it.
absolutely. He's on 250 a week, isn't he? Which has probably been the stumbling block in trying to get rid of him.
Yeah, definitely. That's why he could only be loaned to Sevilla
Mm.
rather than buying
Hmm.
him because they couldn't afford his wages. I'm sure that was one of the issues, and didn't impress on that loan
He didn't
either.
impress either, did he? So yeah, I don't think he only got like one goal, and none of them were in La Liga.
Uh, yeah, that's really poor. Yeah, definitely as someone who his career appears to be coming to an end. If he's really lucky, a Saudi club might take him on.
Yeah,
But I don't see him being someone who's going to play till he's 40. I think his career is going to wind down in the next couple of years, because
definitely.
because his body just isn't up to it anymore. I don't think. So Ten Hag, I would say a 5 out of 10. Really, and he has been making mistakes, bizarre substitutions. United. I just don't have. They don't seem to have a style of play, a philosophy. I don't know what
Mm.
they're trying to do. There's no patterns of play. Um, but the caveat to that is that there's been so many injuries, particularly at the back, and it's been causing
Yep.
issues. Even yesterday, Wan-Bissaka missing through illness. It seems to be every single game now somebody's missing through illness, and I'm wondering how can this be? Does this happen to any other club?
And it's like Sod's law, isn't it? Just anything that can and will go wrong does. Like even if we come to the Copenhagen game, listen, at 2-0 up, we are cruising, and
Yeah.
then a moment of madness, and then everything just goes to utter shambles.
But just is there like a protocol at the club where because of COVID-19, that if anyone's experiencing symptoms of fever of any kind and they're told to stay at home, is that why there's an illness every single week now? Because they're just told to isolate so they don't spread it to the rest of the squad. Because I don't follow every other team as closely, but
Mm.
I can't imagine that anybody else has an illness every single week, and sometimes it's multiple illnesses. And why did it have to be Wan Bissaka? Because against Copenhagen, he was fantastic, and I'm so looking
Yeah.
forward to seeing him playing in against Luton. And he's becoming a really important player now. Actually, even now we've always known he's a great one-on-one defender, but even his attacking play has improved. Lovely reverse ball to McTominay for the first goal for Hoyland. Um, yeah, and an excellent display all round. Although that he did play a bit of a dubious ball to Onana, which Onana couldn't keep in play, and that
Mm.
from the resulting corner, I think we conceded. Um, yeah, so Copenhagen, the most chaotic game that I've ever witnessed for a very long time. Um, we were 2-0 up and cruising. Hoyland, I think, had two more chances
Yeah, yeah.
to make it 3 or
We
4
were
nil.
somewhat fortunate with one of the goals. It's the one where it was the tapping where the keeper parried it and it came to him. Again, I was a bit disappointed with Garnacho in that one because in that position, decision making needs to be better. You need to be looking across and into the box, but I think he was just adamant on taking a shot at goal.
Yeah, Ganacho either should have scored there or he should have
Mm.
scored it to Hoyland, but we got away with it on that occasion. But
Yeah, got away
yeah,
with it. But yeah, absolutely, that's what you should be looking to do when you've got
and
a player like that in the box. You should always look to make that pass. But yeah, we were very lucky. And shout out to Hoyland as well because there's some strikers that wouldn't have followed that run. Um, and that's a
yeah,
proper poacher's goal. That.
both goals are poachers' goals, and that's what
Yeah.
I love to see.
Mm.
Um, we haven't had much of
That
that.
threat in the box. Yeah. So now what we need to do is make sure that we give him enough service.
I mean, since Ronaldo was first. Ronaldo hasn't been first choice since May 2022, and that's
Mm.
probably the last time that we've had a genuine poacher in the team. So I love to see Hoyland get those types of goals. So you got two of them in one game.
Because I'll tell you what, because he was a very frustrated figure at Craven Cottage last week,
Yeah,
Hoyland, because we just did not give him the ball. Like he was just jogging around for 70 minutes before going off.
yeah, and once again, the service was lacking again
Atrocious.
yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
uh, yeah, he had a snapshot from the edge of the box as well. It was tipped over by the keeper against Copenhagen. Um, he also had a chance that he scuffed it wide of the post, but that would have been disallowed anyway because
Mm.
it was in the build up. It was the Rashford challenge, which led to the red card, which I'm going to come on to right now. For me, all he's doing is shielding the ball. He's putting his foot on the ground to protect the ball, stop the defender from getting to it, and in the process, he caught the defender in the shin with the studs. For me, that's never a red card.
He was always looking at the ball, but for me, it's one of those that it's always going to look worse on the replay, and in
Mhm.
the replay, it did look bad because of where he landed.
But
Um,
that's a fucking problem with these replays. They're freeze
yeah,
framing these tackles
they
and giving
are.
straight
Yeah,
reds.
yeah. Because in real time, I don't think he knew anything about it. Like he wasn't. He was looking at the ball the whole time. But yeah, it's the replay really that does it. Because yeah, it's not nice.
I even seen a tackle the night before. It was Mayeta, the Celtic striker, was sent off against
Mm,
Atletico Madrid,
hmm.
and in real time, it's not. It doesn't look serious, but the freeze framed it again,
Yeah.
and all they seen was the studs connecting with the shin, and they give a red
Mm,
card. So VAR in general is really maddening me now. Really making me angry. I'm fed up with the whole. I've said it on social media. I'm fed up with it now. Um, the only technology I want to see from now on, it probably won't. This my ideal
mm,
scenario here probably won't happen. But obviously, keep the goal line technology. I would then bring in UEFA's automated offside software, so there can be
yeah.
no debate about offsides in the Premier League. And other than that, I would get rid of the VAR room and just go back to the old system of the the fifth and sixth officials behind each goal for
Mm,
red cards and penalties, because there's far too much technology now, far too much intervention, and the VAR was supposed to correct the errors. In fact, we're seeing even more now, and I'm just had it now. I just want to get rid of it and just simplify the use of technology. It's far too much of it now. What do you think, Bruce?
yeah. I don't think the technology itself is the problem. I think it's the people entrusted to act up on it. So, but yeah, like you, I prefer a much simpler time to be honest. So offsides and goal line technology, I'm totally fine with. The rest of it, it's
Yeah,
just taken all excitement out of the game.
yeah. Even for every goal that's scored, you're waiting for the game to kick off again before you celebrate. That's the way. That's
Yeah,
just
you
this
don't
was.
even know if you can celebrate or not, and yeah, 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 it's definitely taken something away.
Yeah, and it's got to the point where like it was supposed to be clear and obvious. Now they're looking for any wee detail
Hmm.
that where they can disallow the goal. I think there was even a Liverpool goal that was disallowed in the Europa League against Toulouse.
Mm.
The infringement was like like 2 minutes earlier or something.
Yeah,
It was well before the goal was scored.
yeah,
Not that I have
yeah,
any sympathy for
yeah,
Liverpool,
and
but this is an
yeah,
example of how the interventions are just too frequent.
yeah.
Um,
The amount of extra time added on now as well is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, and they're looking for like fingernails of offside, and it's so
Mm.
inconsistent as well. Look at Harry Maguire being seen as interfering with play against Fulham, which is
Mm.
why McTominay's goal was disallowed. Well, Copenhagen's first goal the other night, there's a Copenhagen player offside position standing right in front of Onana, and they don't even spot it in the VAR
Yeah,
room, and the goal's given. I didn't even notice it myself until Ten Hag pointed it out after the game,
yeah,
and he was correct to point that out. Yeah, and then the penalty. To be, I'm going to be honest here. both
Mm.
penalties are not penalties from me. The United one and the Copenhagen one, the handball
I mean,
rule is
I
just
like
out of.
that they kept the same energy. Like if they give one, you have to give the other, right?
At least they're consistent in Europe with the
Mm.
handball rule, but see the handball rule in Europe. It's almost like a completely different sport. Like
Yeah,
if the
it's
ball,
kind of crazy for me. Intention matters, you know. Yeah, just otherwise, what are you supposed to do with your hand? You can't just move it out of the way. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, how Maguire and the forward were just jostling with each other, and then the ball
Yeah,
comes out of the sky and hits him in the arm while they're
yeah, yeah,
jostling. That's ridiculous. How is that a
yeah.
penalty? And then the United one, I think it's headed down onto an arm.
Yep.
Um, I know it's just three players jumping for the ball, and the ball's
Mm.
headed down onto an arm. I mean, that's not a penalty either. But I was happy that they gave it to even it up. But unfortunately, the red cards weren't evened up. Even up, there
No.
was a defender who deliberately threw a forearm and an elbow into the side of Hoyland's head.
Yeah.
And this there was no intervention made there. I thought, in 1993, that's just a hard challenge. But in this day and age, that can be given as a red card.
Hmm.
And it didn't happen. But yeah, we were dominating the game for 40 minutes. We were 2-0 up and cruising. I thought this is great. This is United's best performance of the season,
Yep.
and we're going to cruise to 3 points here. But I might have known something would go wrong. It's just the way things are at the moment.
Yeah.
What can go wrong will go wrong, and there's a setting off from, and then but uh, twice in the game we were leading. We were 2-0 and 3-2 up, and then we can see goals in clusters. Um,
Yep.
Two quick goals in the first half, and then two quick goals at the end that lost us the game. Horrendous defending by Dalot at the back post for the third goal, and then the fourth goal, Varane. Don't know
Mm.
what he was doing. That was atrocious.
Hmm.
And a great finish though from that young 17-year-old. I think it's first name Rooney or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
His
it's
first
good.
name's Rooney. Bargy. Rooney Bargy.
Yeah, and he should be the type of player that we should be scouting and looking at.
Mm.
Before he goes to Dortmund and then comes a £100 million player. uh, yeah, it was a game that could have went so well for United but didn't, and turned out to be another hugely disappointing night.
Absolutely. And the thing is, all the chances were there. I mean, even in the second half, even down to 10 men, we took the lead again. It was 3-2. And then we just didn't manage the game out from there. One or two of the decisions as well, I was quite baffled with. Fair enough, you need to manage Hoyland's minutes, but put on a striker. What sense does it make to have no focal point up front?
Yeah, Mason Mount for Hoyland didn't understand that at all. He just will not
Yeah,
allow Rasmus to complete a game.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Especially when you're down to 10, it's imperative that you have some kind of attacking threat on the field. By
yeah,
taking off all strikers, you're pretty much just inviting pressure on from the opposition because they know you're not set to counter or anything, you know?
yeah. When we're defending with 10 men, Garnacho and Hoyland were obviously going to be a big threat on the counter attack.
Yeah.
When we They were all night. Even when we had 11 men,
Mm.
especially they were. But do you remember when we were 3-2 up and we had a chance to make it 4-2? I think
Yeah.
McTominay scooped it over the bar. That was
Hmm.
very, very important in retrospect.
Yeah.
If we'd have scored that, that was game over. But now we've lost three of the four Champions League games, but remarkably, we're still in it.
Yes,
Because
yes. Two of them I would say are freak results as well. The Galatasaray one at Old Trafford, I'm a bit baffled as to how we lost that, to be honest.
yeah, thanks to Bayern just beating everybody
Mm.
on all the group games, it's kept us in it. It's
It's
kind
still
of
all to play for, yeah.
it's a three-way tussle then for the second
Yep,
spot.
yep.
But we absolutely have to win in Istanbul now.
Have to win against Galatasaray, and then yeah, and then Bayern have to. If Bayern beat Copenhagen, that would be great. And Bayern are already through pretty much, so we kind of have to hope that not only do we get a result against Galatasaray, we need to hope that Bayern rotate heavily and rest players in that final game.
Yeah, hopefully they don't rotate heavily in the second last game against Copenhagen.
Mm,
I
hmm.
think they're at home to Copenhagen, so there'll be a demand on them there
Yeah,
in front of
yeah,
their home crowd to put in a performance.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. The sixth game should be dead rubber for them, so I'm hoping they make some changes. Because for us as well, we come off from playing Bournemouth just three
well,
days prior. Um,
yeah, if we win in Turkey, which is a big if, and
yeah,
Bayern win against Copenhagen at home, we're going to be in a great position going into the final game. So,
Mm-hmm.
which is remarkable considering that we've lost three of the four Champions League
Yeah,
games.
but that will be the third game we play in that week: Chelsea, Bournemouth, and then Bayern, all 3 days apart.
And then the next game I think is Anfield.
It would
It's
then,
going to be a tough
and
period.
the next game is Anfield. Yeah.
Going to be a tough period.
Mm.
If we get any more injuries at the back, it's going to be a nightmare period. Is what
Can't
it's going to
can't
be.
afford can't afford any injuries, to be honest.
Yeah. Now there's not many positives around, but I think we've touched on a couple of them already.
Mm.
Um, Obviously, Hoyland's goals in Europe are positive. We just want that to translate into the Premier League, and you
Yes.
think sooner or later that's going to happen. Desperate now for him to get his first Premier League goal. Um, Another positive is the goalkeeper has improved massively in recent weeks after a very shaky start.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
With that as well, I think we have to keep in mind that we've not had a steady back four. And defense is the bedrock of any team, and that's where I like to see the least amount of changes. And I think I read somewhere that we've had like 10 different back fives.
yeah, 10 was it? I was just about
Yeah.
to say that I heard a stat we had 16 different
Oh,
combinations
60.
since the start of.
Okay. Oh wow. So even more, even more.
uh, yeah, it's remarkable, really. When you think of the amount of people that have played left back this season,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, I think they've been. Yeah, I think Lindelof has played in every position across the back this season.
Yeah. Yeah. He's played everywhere. He's played all three.
He could be playing in goal in January with if, when Onana goes to Afcon. Um, yeah, there hasn't been a consistent back four at all, and we're arguably missing our most important defenders. I think our most important defenders are Shaw, Martinez, and Wan-Bissaka, and
Mm,
we missed those players for most of the season. Now, Wan-Bissaka hopefully will be available again in the Everton game. Missed the Luton game through illness. Um, yeah, he he's so confident. That's another positive. He's so confident at the moment, isn't he? Even on the ball, he looks
yeah.
confident. Obviously, got that pre-assist for the first goal against Copenhagen, which was
Hmm.
a lovely reverse ball. He just he seems to link up really well with whoever's playing on the right hand side of the attack. He plays lovely 1-2s. He gets in behind.
It's a
He play.
remarkable turnaround from where we were just not so long ago.
Yeah, it was. If you go back about 18 months, I was hugely critical of
Yeah.
Wan-Bissaka and wanted him
Yeah,
to be sold, but he.
honestly, last December, mate. Last December, I thought he was out the door.
Yeah, yeah, I think Dollar was first choice pre World Cup, wasn't he?
Hmm.
I think that's the best period that Dollar has had in his United career
Yeah.
between August 22 and November 22. But apart from that, really, it's not been good enough. But Wan-Bissaka, since he regained his place after the World Cup, has gone up a couple of gears, and he's carried that form into this season. And he's a
Mm.
player that we can ill afford to do without. To be honest, I think he's. I think Maguire, like you touched on, is in much better form than he was. I'd actually given up on Maguire ever recovering his form from a couple of years ago, where he
Yeah.
was half decent. He just looked like he was shot to pieces.
Yeah.
But he's managed to get back into a good place again. I suppose if everybody was fit in the back four that I would select would be Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Martinez, and Shaw. Would you go along with that?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially from what we've seen recently of Maguire versus Rafa.
Rafa has been atrocious.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that him and the manager are not getting along because he's
Mm.
dropped him for Johnny Evans,
Hmm.
and that was reflected in his performance against Copenhagen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he should have.
Initially, I thought it was just a fitness issue against Man City. And then the manager kind of baffled me when he said in the press conference, or in the interview afterwards, that it was for tactical reasons. That didn't
Yeah,
really make sense to me. And then the following week, I was expecting him to start, and then he was dropped again. And then I started asking questions.
yeah. I think it's the old Dutch thing as well, where he wants to have a left-footed centre back
Mm, hmm.
in his back four. If you remember Van Gaal, it was a real stickler for that.
Yeah.
Um, You like to have Rojo there, because or Blind at centre
Yeah.
back, because you like to have a left-footed player in that position. So he doesn't seem to like playing Varane and Maguire alongside each other. And when when that was enforced against Copenhagen after 20 minutes or so,
Yeah. Yeah.
he
He
had to
got
move Maguire
exposed.
across to the left
Yeah.
and to play Varane right centre back. And then he brought. It was almost like an Ollie back four yesterday, wasn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, Dallo. Well, not so much Dallo, but definitely Maguire, Lindelof would definitely are an Ollie back.
Hmm.
Uh, Reguilon obviously not, but yeah. Yeah, in the next game, it could be the no, it won't be. Well, if Shaw is fit, it could be the old Ollie back four again. Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof, and Shaw. Desperate for Shaw to come back.
Yes.
Because not only as from a defensive point of view, but going forward as well, he's hugely important to the team when it comes to getting in behind defenses.
Hmm.
His crossing is excellent, and he always gets assists with his crossing from dead balls and during open play as well.
His
So
assist numbers don't make for great reading though. Like for his crossing ability, he should have a lot more. To be fair,
yeah, but that can't always be down to him. It can be
well, it's also down to very poor
yeah,
finishing.
yeah, which we talked about a lot this season on
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, when you're playing like for instance Lindelof at left back, it makes you very predictable because he's not going to make overlapping runs. He's going to stop and pass the ball back, so it makes it easy to defend against. Remember
Mm-hmm.
Lindelof played left back against City, and they knew then that a lot of our attacks are going to come down the right hand side.
Yeah.
So it made us very predictable. So that's why Shaw is very, very important in that position because when he's at full flow, you do not want to be defending against him.
Hmm.
Um, when he plays the ball, like say he has a good understanding with Rashford as well. He plays the ball to Rashford, and then he makes the run behind, looking for the Rashford to play it back to him. Then it's not only is it great to watch, but it gets us into dangerous areas. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that back again. Hamstring injury, I think it is that he has that's kept him out this long, but he is expected to be the next. Out of all the long-term absentees, he's meant to be the one that's going to come back next. Um, and Malasia, the mystery injury that we still haven't been told about. I don't think. Does anyone know what's wrong
Yeah,
with him?
yes. So this is the thing. When you mentioned sending Regulon back in January, I wouldn't, just because we can't afford to lose anyone.
Yeah. But I'm not saying that's what I would do. I just think that if Shaw's back, then
Yeah.
he might.
I mean, if
Um,
everybody's back, then yes, he would be like a third or fourth choice, right? But yeah, with the injuries and the unpredictability of it all, I'll just keep him around just in case.
yeah. Yeah. But even when he's the only left back available, Ten Hag is still playing somebody else. So
Mm.
um,
See,
that's just
see, in
make.
that situation, it's a bit baffling to me. I always prefer an out and out player in their position opposed to shifting someone there, who isn't naturally adept at playing that role.
Yeah, I think he likes to play Dallo at left back, and he likes
Yeah.
and if that's not available to him, he'll play Lindelof at left back. Now,
Mm.
yesterday we were so depleted that he had to play Dallo at right back and couldn't play him at left back, so Raglan had to come in. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, so it just shows you that even he's third choice at Spurs, and with Ten Hag he's about fifth choice. So that's why I don't see him staying beyond January,
Mm.
especially if Shaw has come back. So, um, but let's see. I don't think he's a huge asset, is he? Really? I mean, he started off well against Brighton in that
Yeah.
game, but since I think he was okay against Bayern, but in not been many good performances since then. I think he was pretty bad against Newcastle, wasn't he, in the League Cup?
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So I mean, if Den Hag's playing Darwin and Love ahead of him, it doesn't. He definitely doesn't have a future at the club.
No,
Um,
no, it was a short-term signing, wasn't it?
so thankfully, there's another international break for a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Like 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 normally I would be saying I hate international football. I can't
Mm.
stand it. It interrupts the season all the
Now
time.
it's
But
a welcome break from United, eh?
Yeah, it means United can't ruin your weekend.
Uh-huh. I mean, see, well, yes, but the other thing is, I just hope that all our guys come back injury free. So that's a level of stress during internationals.
Yeah, with Hoyland going down
Yeah.
injured yesterday and coming off, well, I hope he doesn't go on that national duty now for
Hmm.
Denmark. Have they not already qualified anyway? So it wouldn't make any. If that's the case, it wouldn't make any sense to me. I hope that he sits this one out. Because he's
Yeah.
i- vitally important to us. Especially in the Champions League.
Hmm.
So yeah, we wouldn't want to be in a scenario where we're having to play Martial in Premier League games, important games. Because Martial is just
I mean, can he even complete 90 minutes? I mean,
no.
no.
Uh, Martial's just a statue really at this point.
Yeah. It's a real shame as well because obviously there was a real player there. His talent was never really in question for me, but yeah, his legs have gone. The injuries, everything else has piled up. He's not the same as he used to be.
No, a bit like Phil Jones in a way. I think
Hmm.
his body has let him down.
Yeah,
Um,
and that was another one because he became a meme at the end. I don't think people realize how good he actually was at a certain time.
Jones, you talking about? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, Phil Jones. Yeah,
yeah. I remember him playing midfield for United at the start.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was career,
I
which was
remember. I remember
remarkable.
when I first watched him. Right when I was really impressed with him, it was uh it was when he was at Blackburn and they played Chelsea, and he must have been about 17 at the time, and he pocketed Didier Drogba.
Yeah, I remember he did a good man marking job on Ronaldo in the Bernabeu
Mm.
in Fergie's last season. I know Ronaldo scored in the game, but
Mhm.
overall, I think Jones did a good job. But the only problem is it was typical Jones in that game. He stood on the ball, rolled his ankle, and then he was out of the next game.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, not only do I want to escape any further injuries in the international break, I want to see players start to come back, and Shaw seems to be the one that might happen. Now he's obviously not going to start against Everton, but it'd be wonderful if he was on the bench in that game.
Yeah.
But let's see, it's impossible to know. But given the updates that the manager has been giving, he seems to be the player that's closest to making a comeback. Um, it's we're just not being told at all what's happened to Malacia. If Malacia wasn't such a fringe player, there'd be a bigger deal made out of this.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but for some reason this season in general, Ten Hag is very vague with the injury updates. He'll
Mm.
tell you if someone's injured or fit, but he'll not actually specify what the injury is.
Mhm.
It's very odd policy, but yeah, it seems to be now Monday. Sir Bobby will be laid to rest, and after that, we're being told that the ball will start rolling with the Ineos buying the 25% stake and taking
Mm.
over football operations. Let's hopefully that happens on Tuesday or Wednesday. But we are being told that it is going to happen during the international break. Even the BBC are saying that now, which they obviously don't. They don't print stories unless they're absolutely sure when it comes to sport anyway. Um, so and there's all kinds of rumors of who's going, like Paul Mitchell being director of football and Jean Claude Blanc and being the CEO, at least on a temporary basis. And Murta and Arnold will be going straight away. Uh, and then Dougie Freeman was linked with being the director of football today. That's really left field. But let's see. Um, I'd just be happy to see us bringing in experienced people into those roles rather than promoting people from within, which is what we've been doing under the Glazer ownership, and not appointing the best in class for those jobs. Now
Yes.
Ten Hag, what happens to him will be interesting under this regime.
Mm.
I imagine that he'll be giving like Jim Radcliffe will not sack Ten Hag right away. He'll be given at least a little bit of time, but if you're in a situation where as a manager, you're in a situation where there's new people in charge of the club, then you've got to get results right away. Like if he was to lose to Everton, Newcastle, Liverpool really badly, then he would be really running the risk of the new people replacing him. Now it happens at every club where they want the new custodians want to bring in their own man in the dugout. By the way, Ten Hag is suspended for the Everton game now because he's got three yellows, so he won't be in the dugout against Everton. He'll
Mm-hmm.
be in the stands. Um, but yeah, see when there's new custodians, the manager is under pressure to get results right away because they usually bring in their own man. So I think he'll be given time, but he'll be under a lot of pressure to get results as soon as Jim Radcliffe comes in.
To be honest, he's only got another year on his contract currently. So if the people coming in do have their own ideas and plans, I think they'll at least, like you say, give him a little bit of time and then reassess the situation closer to the expiry of his contract. Um,
Yeah. Well, I was having a look at that. He has a contract to 2025, with an option of another
mm.
year.
But the club have the option, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's another. He's still got another season and a half, which is a long time,
yeah,
uh, given that the results have been so poor this season. Now, how much time he gets under Radcliffe will depend on how good the results are. Now, we've talked
also
about how.
depends on who else is available out there and the
Yeah.
sense of direction they want to go in.
I would like to think that Dave Brailsford and Jim Radcliffe are already, or Paul Mitchell, if they're going to hire him, they're already doing their homework on who their next manager is going to be, if that's
Yeah,
necessary.
yeah,
Because what we've lacked at Manchester United is planning, and I hope that these
yes,
people are going to be different and they're going to plan ahead. So I would say, even say Brighton, for example, if they were to lose De Zerbi, they already know who the next guy is
hmm
going to be, or they already have a short list anyway. That's the
yeah, and
place.
also like with the planning, you need to know the identity of what kind of football you want to play, and then identify players that fit that, so that irrespective of the coach, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Because what we've been doing is, when you bring in different styles of coaches, they bring in players that fit their style, and then when they get sacked, we're stuck with those players.
Yeah, that makes total sense. That's going to be
Yeah.
the job of Paul Mitchell, if indeed he
hmm
does become director of football.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
going to be he's going to be signing the players and he's going to be hiring the coaches.
Yeah, because
And
that's one of the things that we've done terribly. Because if you look at someone very talented, right, where I was quite excited when he came in, Jadon Sancho. He was never a player that was going to take players on down the wing, beat them for pace, and do that. He's a ball to feet kind of player. You need to understand the profile of player that you're bringing in. So yeah, these are the things that you need to look at, and not just like the marketing opportunities and the rest of it, which of course every big club does, but more so us, I think, uh, in terms of that, where they probably put a bit too much
this
emphasis
this
on that and not enough on the footballing side of things.
definitely, and this is where director of football is so important,
Yeah.
because he will bring in players who fit a certain style and
hmm
managers who fit that style as well. But hopefully, he doesn't have to hire that many managers. You're hoping the first
Yeah.
one will work. But if he has to make a change, it has to be another one who fits
Yeah.
that same style of play.
Yeah.
So, and we've never really had a proper director of football, and this is why we
No, we
run into
haven't.
so many difficulties.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. And like you say, we need to stop recruiting internally and look for the best in class.
yeah, yeah, 100%. And it looks as if that's what Ineos are going to do.
Yeah.
Manchester United is going to be their latest sporting project, it seems.
hmm the Dougie
Uh,
Freedman thing came proper left field, but I will say, listen, if he played an instrumental role in them getting the likes of Eze and Elise, then I wouldn't be totally against that either.
yeah,
Bring on Dougie.
yeah, yeah. If Dougie rose up at Old Trafford, then Eze could follow
Mark
him.
Gurhey as well. They've picked up a tidy couple of signings over the years. So if he played an instrumental role in that, I'd like to know more about it. Perhaps we should get one of the Crystal Palace guys on and talk to them about it.
Yeah, they obviously would know more than we do.
Yeah,
But that will only be necessary if Dougie is indeed the director of football at United in
yes.
the future. It might not be him. I still think that it's more likely to be Mitchell because
hmm
of the experience he has at so many clubs and the fact that he's is he. from Greater Manchester, United fan, so would always
Mm.
be perfect. He would love to be the guy that restores United to its glory days.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but that's it.
Yeah, the
Um,
Jean Claude Blanc thing is interesting as well because obviously he's had experience with PSG and Juventus as well. Uh,
yeah,
so yeah, this is a guy that comes with a wealth of experience.
yeah. Somebody was saying that we could do with some of that Ineos cycling team juice. As well. That was obviously we bit of a joke there at some of the controversy surrounding Team Sky and the Tour de France,
Mm.
which Brailsford was cleared of any wrongdoing. But yeah, he's that's going to be an interesting one because Dave's Brailsford and Radcliffe come as a team in sport. If you get one, you get the other.
Yeah,
Um, and Brailsford obviously his expertise were in cycling, but he's been heavily involved in the running of Nice in recent times, and this season it's certainly been a marked improvement. Um, they changed their coach and their director of football and their transfer strategy, and it seems to be paying dividends at the moment. Um,
yep.
they they were a top of the league until PSG won 3-0 yesterday.
I mean,
And
they're
just
still only a point off. They're second.
yeah, yeah. Obviously, first looks a lot better than second. Yeah, I think they've still got a game in hand over PSG. Wonder when that is being played. Not too sure about that. Must be Monday night or something.
Mm.
What's Monday night? Um, yeah, but certainly they struggled. I mean, when they were signing big names like Casper Schmeichel, Oren Ramsey, Mario Balotelli, it wasn't really working for them. Now they're scouting younger players and you know unearthing rough diamonds, and it seems to be working for them.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I can't really have they not strange. I can't really. I'm looking at all the league fixtures and I can't
yeah.
see Nice on the road.
Mm.
Um, that's strange. Um, Let me see now.
I think what
But
I was shocked by the last time I checked League On was how badly Leon are doing. They're rock bottom of the league.
yeah, and before PSG got all the guitar money, Leon used to dominate that league.
Leon, yeah, in the mid 2000s, I think they hold the record. They won like 7 league titles in a row. Um, but yeah, big fall from grace over the years,
yeah, massively.
and they haven't got any wins this season. And Liga have restructured as well, so there's 18 teams and not 20 from this season onwards.
Yeah, and that's why I couldn't find the Nice fixture this weekend because they played on Friday night against Montpellier,
Ah,
and and they drew nil each in that game away from home. So that's why PSG have returned
mm.
to the top of the league by a point. So
Still undefeated though, Nice.
yeah, that's right. They're the only team in the league that have not lost a game.
Yeah,
Um, so they've won seven and drawn five. If only we had won seven and drawn five. And firstly, we have won seven and lost five.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so PSG, Nice, and Monaco are the top three there. Monaco obviously is where Paul Mitchell currently works. Yeah, and isn't there you could see a Nice centre half that we've been linked with
yeah.
strongly.
Jean-Claire Todibo,
Yeah,
formerly of Barcelona. He didn't get a fair crack of it there, and I think there was a failed loan move to Benfica as well. But yeah, he looks very good, very tidy player.
can definitely see him end up at Old Trafford the way things are going. But
Yeah.
um, I know the Premier League brought in a new rule, or they're going to have a vote on it anyway if they haven't
Mm.
already, to prevent you know clubs that have the same owners trading players,
Yeah.
um, which obviously means the likes of Ruben Neves can't be
Mm.
loaned to Newcastle
Hmm.
from the one of the Saudi teams.
I don't know how you
But
can implement that rule though. Like if it's your asset and you own it, how can they stop you?
don't know. Well, it seems to be the 20 teams can vote
Yeah,
on
because
certain
I'll
things.
tell you what. Because
Uh,
last weekend I was watching AC Milan versus Udinese, and Udinese are owned by the same people who own Watford, the
yeah, yeah.
Pozzo family. And I was looking at the lineup of Udinese, and there were so many ex Watford players in that lineup. Isaac Success was up front. They had Pereira in midfield. They had Cabaselli at the back, and I was like, oh wow, this is what they do.
Well, I think this is a direct ploy from Premier League teams to stop Newcastle getting an advantage by loaning in all these Saudi Pro League players.
Mm.
Um,
I
but
don't know. I don't know if that will come to pass. I mean, if they take a vote on it, I don't know.
but in terms of us, what I was going to say is because Radcliffe only owns a 25% minority stake,
Yeah.
we can still loan or buy niche players, and it won't
Mm.
be an issue. When Radcliffe, if Radcliffe becomes a majority owner, and that rule is implemented, then there would be a problem then. But like you say,
Mm.
how can you?
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't really see a problem with it to be honest, because it can work both ways, right? It would
I
mean that
mean,
we could send our players to Nice as well.
I mean Leipzig and
Yeah,
Salzburg do it all the time, like you know.
yeah, and back in the day, then they used to have a system where I don't think there's much emphasis on it now, but you used to be allowed to get
Feeder
links to
clubs.
feeder clubs. Yeah, so what well, we used to send players on loan to Royal Antwerp. Like, what's the difference really?
Mhm. We used to have an arrangement with Sporting Lisbon, I think, at one
Yeah,
stage.
yeah. So yeah, this is how clubs operate. I know, especially what we used to do. Well, in England, you used to get feeder clubs in, like, say, Spain, if you're trying to get a work permit for a player from South America. Because if you loan them out to a Spanish club, it used to take a lot less time for them to acquire a work permit to
Yeah,
become a naturalized citizen. So they used to do it that way. So these are just things that happen. I don't know how you can cut down on that.
Man City have done this as well. If you remember, was it
Mm,
Lampard went to New York City and then
hmm
Man City loaned him for
Yeah,
for like 6 months or so.
yeah.
Um, so lots of clubs have taken advantage of this, but all of a sudden,
Yes.
I think there's a fear in the Premier League that Newcastle pick up a few injuries. Then in January, they'll loan in all these Saudi Pro
Mm,
League players
mm.
and gain an advantage over
I
the
mean,
others. So
listen, Newcastle are the richest club in the world. They could go out and buy whoever they wanted, so it doesn't make bugger all difference to me.
yeah, but it's maybe it's they can comply with FFP if they just loan somebody in rather than
Mm,
having to buy them.
mm.
Um,
FFP's a joke anyway.
mhm.
That's
Yeah,
another thing they need to
yeah,
look
because
at.
it applies to everyone except PSG and Man City.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And you can just pay your way out of it too if you're that filthy rich, It doesn't really make any difference. The only thing it does, it stops those overnight rags to riches stories. So it kind of just upkeeps the status quo and stops smaller clubs from overnight success.
yeah, uh, obviously the despite all the wealth of Man City, they weren't able to prevent Leicester from winning the Premier League, which is still a
Hmm
fantastic story and very unique in this day and age. And always want United to win the league, but I'm so glad that that happened. It's good to
Yeah,
see
it's,
that.
it's one for the ages, isn't it? It was a similar sort of thing when Blackburn did it. Mind you, Blackburn in their day did spend a lot of money.
Jack
Um,
Walker, yeah,
yeah, they were, yeah. So it wasn't quite
they were
quite the Disney story as it was with Leicester.
they were fortunate that there was an English billionaire who was born in Blackburn, and
Hmm
he had basically retired and wanted to spend all his money on his beloved Blackburn Rovers, and
Yeah,
that's what led to their success. Um, so yeah, not quite the Disney story as you say. Like
yeah,
Leicester went from
and
avoiding
yeah.
relegation the season before to winning the Premier
And
League.
funny enough, with both of the clubs, though, the similarities were that within a couple of seasons, they both ended up getting relegated as well after winning the title. So the fall from grace was pretty big.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And Claudio Ranieri, I'm not sure he's ever won a league title other than that in a major league anyway.
Mm.
Yeah, as a manager,
He might have won in. Was he was at Valencia? He might have won one in Spain. I don't know. It might have been Rafa Benitez actually at Spain. for Valencia.
He's won second division titles at like sort of Fiorentina,
Yeah, but
Monaco.
he's a well-traveled manager though, Claudio.
At Valencia, he won the Copa del Rey, but
Okay.
Intertoto Cup, the UEFA Cup,
Mm. So
sorry,
is that
UEFA.
the only major league title he's won? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, it looks like it.
Okay. Okay. Well, what a major honor to have.
Yeah, so just showed you again. That kind of highlights just how random it was.
Yeah.
That it was just a real freak season, but
Hmm.
sort of glad that it happened, and that romantic stories can still happen, and
Yeah.
it's not just
Yeah.
y-
I'll
that
tell
you.
you what, it would be an amazing quiz question though, to name the amount of clubs that Claudio Ranieri has managed.
And then Roy Hodgson as well.
Yeah, Roy Hodgson's another one. Yeah, yeah. They don't make them like that anymore.
Did you notice Fergie sitting in the stands yesterday with Sam
With the Big
Allardyce?
Sam, yeah.
Big Sam was yawning. That's how boring it was. That
To be fair, I was yawning as well watching that game.
you
I'm
know,
not gonna lie to you. I was tired. Ah,
yeah, it was painful to watch.
yeah.
But yeah, we are one of the most informed teams in the Premier League according to the stats. It certainly doesn't feel that way, but
Yeah, it's
um,
absolutely a reason why people should take stats with a pinch of salt.
yeah, definitely. So everybody, please smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and get more of your thoughts in. Thanks to Simon and Football Power Hour for getting in your thoughts during the game. Uh, and I'll hopefully do a show during the international break. We'll definitely be back after the Everton game and hoping
Yep,
for.
yep.
We want to see a performance and a result now. Now, Copenhagen was nearly that game where we're going to put in a performance on the result, but
Yeah, it looked
unfortunately,
that way, didn't it? At 2-0, I'm thinking, yeah, cruise control. This is, yeah, it might be 4-5. Happy days. And
unfortunately, the
how
red card ruined
quickly,
all that.
how quickly a match can turn around, eh? So it just goes to show it, doesn't it? You can't take anything for granted. You have to keep your concentration levels
Um,
up.
Definitely not nowadays. With
Yeah.
this VAR looking for a reason to send
Hmm.
people off, looking for a reason to disallow goals.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and UEFA they're very very strict when it comes to challenges and with studs up on which wasn't
Mm.
even it wasn't even it. I mean it's ridiculous because Rashford doesn't even tackle anybody, so how
Yeah.
can he be sent off for a tackle? All he was doing was protecting the ball. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, they're very very fussy about handballs now in Europe as well. Like I said, it's like a
Hmm.
completely different sport. The ball hits your hand at
But
all,
it's
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 a penalty.
it's been like that for some time. To be honest, like one of the best European memories I have in recent years was that away win at PSG, right? And the season where Buffon was there when we turned it around and it was 3-2.
Hmm.
But I thought it was very harsh the penalty that we actually got
It
because
was,
Kimpembe, I don't think he knew anything about that, to be honest. and
and
I
it
was
got
think,
it got
and I thought,
Solskjaer the job.
yeah, yeah, and I thought to myself at the time, like, oh, like, what could he have possibly done to move his hand out the way? Because it was a natural position, you know. I didn't think it was
Yeah.
deliberate in any way.
But looking at the handballs that they gave now in the Champions League, that's an obvious penalty.
Yeah, yeah. Compared to these ones, yeah, that was stone cold, Stonewall penalty.
And
That was.
Dalo's shot was going over the bar as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was the moment that got Ollie 3 years
Mm.
as a manager.
Well, I mean, to be honest, oh, they gave him an extension as well, didn't they? Which they seem to do before sacking managers. It makes no sense. They did the same with Mourinho.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that was the moment that he went from an interim manager into full time manager, and
Yeah.
that was not the right decision. I think it's
Mm.
set us back
I mean, the
a few
fact that
years.
they went for him after a process in which they were meant to look for a full-time manager shows the lack of planning under Woodward.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
it's just impulsive. Really,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
no forward thinking.
yeah. Just no
No,
planning at all.
and we're hoping it's going to be different under the next regime.
Hmm.
Or so,
Hopefully, by the next stream, you'll be able to talk about that and things will be confirmed and in motion.
yeah, we're not talking about hypothetically. We're actually talking about
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
that's
Because then once that
reality.
next step happens, we can actually divulge a little further into what the
Yeah, and
plans are.
we want to know um, how they're going to go from minority owners to majority owners.
Yes.
We want to know the pathway. We want that to be communicated. even if it is via MUTV. But we need some kind
Hmm.
of. I imagine it's probably only going to be a statement to the New York Stock Exchange or something. But
Yeah.
we want Radcliffe to talk to the fans, something that the Glazers have not done at all in 18
Hmm.
years.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
first time I heard them speak was when the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl.
Mm. Yeah, I don't. Well, I didn't really see them speak. Even then, I didn't hear them speak because
Mm.
I didn't follow it that closely. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
seen them lifting the trophy, which is quite bizarre. In American sport, you have the
Mm.
owners lifting the trophy.
Hmm.
You know, um, but yeah, the only time I heard them speak is when they were being doorstepped by British journalists in Miami.
Mm.
That happened a few times. You know, you
Yeah.
probably seen that. I think Avram Glazer was getting into his car one time.
Yes, I
Another
remember because the car stuck out to me because
orange
it was
interior, yeah,
distinctly orange on the inside. It's very
which is brutal.
odd.
And another time he was going to a function
So
and he was doorstep.
it's not only in business that they make bad decisions. Is what I got from that.
Yeah, yeah,
Bright orange
definitely.
interior. I was like, ugh.
Yeah, so it's very rare. We don't even know what their voices sound like really,
Yeah.
because that's how the lack of communication.
Hmm.
But we're hoping that the NEOS are going to actually
Yes.
talk to the fans, which is what
And
we.
also that's another thing as well, obviously, because the gym is close to retirement age, you would assume. So what's the succession plan there? So after his time is up, what who in Ineos then takes over? So these are the kind of things I'd like to know as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's important. But yeah, we'll wrap it up there for today. Hopefully things improve massively after the national break, but I won't hold my breath. So thank you for coming on again, Brush.
Yeah, no worries. My pleasure.
All right, I'll see you later.
Take care.